Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another video. I just wanted to I didn't want to spend too much time on this, but it's just something that I've been thinking about for the last few days. Something that had occurred to me. I'm mainly a comic book collector, and that's where that's where I usually hang out in the comic book community here on YouTube. But I also talk about video games, which is another collecting passion of mine. And as I look at both communities, I've noticed, and maybe some of you have noticed too, that are in both communities or just as a just passing through seeing some of the similarities. There are tons of similarities between the two. A lot of comic book collectors pride themselves on certain books that they have, certain keys, if you will. It's the same with video games. Now, like I said, the purpose of this video, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the similarities between the two groups that I've noticed over the years. I've been playing video games. I want to say collecting, but I haven't really been collecting. I've been purchasing and playing video games since 1988. It's a little bit of a difference there when it comes to comic books. Yeah, you collect comic books, but I don't necessarily collect video games. I buy games that I like to play or I'd like to have, to get eventually play and so forth. But I've been doing that since 1988, so I do know some of my stuff when it comes to gaming. There are some things I don't know. But one of the similarities I've noticed, saying that, is that, in comic book collecting, I've come across some people that have, very specific tastes, that they won't buy modern books, they may not buy Bronze Age books, they only buy silver or they only buy golden. Well, guess what? It's the same thing when it comes to video game players. Now, it's different in the sense that they may not collect, but some of these video game players will only play Golden Age video games or games that came out the dawn of the video game console era. Games that were for the Magnavox Odyssey or the original Atari 2600. Or there'll be PC gamers out there that won't touch consoles. So, you have like similar groups in both communities that, hey, I only collect Silver Age Marvel or DC. Well, hey, I only play PC games. I only play Atari 2600 games, or I only collect those, and so forth. So you have some of the same mentality out there for certain people when it comes to their collecting, their reading, and their playing. And that brings up another topic for me. Some people feel that comic books should be read. If you buy a comic book, you should be reading it. You shouldn't just be buying it just for the sake of, well, it's a first appearance. Well, yeah, that's great and all, but you should read it. That's what comic books are made for, and so forth and so on. There are people that actually feel that way. Same thing in the gaming community. People say, hey, you bought this game right here. Games are meant to be played, not meant to be just put on a shelf and collected. There you go again. I mean, I would imagine, though, in any sort of hobby, you have collectors that feel similarly. I mean, granted the hobbies might be different. Collecting baseball cards or collecting action figures. It might be people that say action figures are meant to be played with. They shouldn't be in the box. And so forth and so on. There are people that feel very strongly that you shouldn't get signatures on comic books. Everybody has their opinion on things, but it's just, as I look at the hobby, both hobbies, I've noticed that there are a lot of similarities between the two. One of the last things I want to talk about, I've noticed, and for those of you out there, I don't, not to offend anybody, but I've noticed that both communities also have their elitists. And it ties in a little similar to what I said earlier about certain people collecting only certain ages. Comic books are made to be read, not to be slabbed. Same thing with video games. Video games are meant to be played. You should not use a cheating device in video games, and so forth. You're not a real gamer. You're playing these newer games. Back in the day, how to. We used to play games like Pac-Man and Asteroids. Those were the real difficult games. Those are true gamers. All that stuff. And my answer to that is, there's no right way to collect. there's no right way to play. There's no right way to be a part of a community. I'm sure there'll be elitists out there that disagree with me. Well, that's fine. But for me, whenever it comes to collecting comic books, I collect what I want. There are some books that I would like to have a run on. Now, when I say a run, it doesn't necessarily mean that I need X-Men numbers 1 through 600. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's some people that feel that, hey, I would like to get the original X-Men run in the 60s, numbers 1 through 66. Or I would like a John Byrne set. Or I would like to get some of the Jim Lee books and complete my Jim Lee run on X-Men. Runs can be defined any way you want. Not just, well, a run is, the entire volume 1 of Amazing Spider-Man or something like that. No, that's not it. At least my interpretation of it, that's not it. There's no right way. You decide what a run is for you. You decide what you want to collect. If you like first appearances, then go for first appearances. If you like to read your books, read your books. There's just no, to each his own. Same thing with video games. There are certain games that, I find that are too time consuming. Look, a lot of us in the community, we're all grown adults. You would think. We have lives. I can't put 70 fucking hours in Final Fantasy VII. So if I want to use a cheating device to knock it down 40 hours off it so I can enjoy the story, I can enjoy the visuals, I can enjoy going through the gameplay, I'm going to do it. Now, of course, I'm not entering some sort of tournament or anything like that where you'll be judged on how well you play a game and you can't use cheat codes and all that stuff. That's fine. I get that for tournaments and all that stuff. But I'll play a game the way I friggin' feel like it and the way I enjoy it. I recently made a video on Kuon. It was in one of the other horror games that I have. Some of the control of it is a little difficult. But I found the story and the atmosphere, the whole aesthetic of Kuon to be so wonderful. So I would use a cheating device just to sit back, enjoy the game, and play it at my own leisure. Not because I'm going to prove to everybody that I can get through this game. You could always do that at a later time. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I like to play hard games and test my skills too. But sometimes, like I said, I have a destructive 2.5-year-old running around all the time. I don't have time to sit there and totally immerse myself in the difficulty of a game. If you're going to use a cheating device, go right ahead. Enjoy it. Enjoy what you paid for. You paid for it. That's it. How you store your comics is another topic that comes up. Well, do you put Mylar bags on them, poly bags on them? Do you put any bags on them? Do you put them in cardboard long boxes? Do you put them in like a desk compartment? It's up to you. It's the way you decide to store them. I mean, if the way you store them eventually causes damage to them, that's on you. That's on you. That was a decision you made. But it's still up to you on how you want to store comics, how you want to store games, how you want to play games, how you want to collect comics, and so forth. But, yeah, those were just some of the similar things I've noticed in both communities. Both communities, both hobbies have passionate people that collect games, and you got to admire their passion. They have a passion for collecting certain artists. They have a passion for collecting certain genres of games. They have a passion for completing runs. They have a passion for playing really difficult games. That's all to be admired and enjoyed, in my opinion. But it's up to you on how you want to collect. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and talk to you all soon. Take care, everyone.